I'm here with Yuman Istanbuli, a Muslim Canadian citizen and student at Acadia University. And I have a couple questions to ask her relating to her experiences as a Canadian Muslim living in Canada and living in Nova Scotia. So, say hello to everybody, Yuman.
Hi!
Okay, so Yuman, right off the bat, what are your views on the niqab, the hijab, and their place in a secular Canadian society?
Thank you for your question. So, fun fact actually, 4 years ago when I first came to Canada, I used to wear the hijab, and I can show it here. So that's how I used to look like when I first came to Canada. But yeah, I was in classes with people that have never seen a hijab or niqab before in their lives. I was in classes with people that have never even traveled outside of the Naples Valley. So my first few classes, there was a lot of like whispering in the back, like being like just nudging their friend and being like, oh my god, can you see what she's wearing on her head? And like everyone, like I had looks at all times because it was very much of a taboo when like people have never seen it before. Yeah, and so 3 months after that, I told myself, I was like, you know what, wearing a hijab is not mandatory. It's recommended and encouraged, very encouraged, but it's not mandatory. And all like the large anxiety feelings that was coming and like from it and all the challenges that were coming from it, I told myself it was not worth it, and I ended up taking it off because of the challenges that I faced every day with it in Canada. And I just found that like the media does not help at all. It's like our religion's enemy. There's a lot of negative experiences that get pinpointed for our religion in the media, and only negative experiences. Like, so, and people are just always like, oh, like don't blame Canadians, like they're shaken up by ISIS. Like every person in the world is shaken up by ISIS, right? Like Muslims are outrageous that these monsters, psychopath, like terrorists are calling themselves Muslims, right? And so I just never really thought of it as an excuse to look at Muslims that way.
So Yuman, what is your opinion on anti-Muslim discrimination in Canada? Have you or your family ever been victim to it?
I'm actually going to ask you a question and ask your class a question. And my question is, when you think of a Muslim, what is the first picture that comes to your head? I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume probably not a positive one. But when we think of white people, we don't think of white terrorists. And that just baffles me, how the media has turned it around, like made it such a hateful rhetoric on us. And so like, yeah, sure, I can tell you 1,000 stories that my family and I, face every day in terms of like discrimination, being Muslim in Canada, but I'm like not really here to force feed empathy down your throats, right? And I'm really just honestly here to make more people open-minded when they picture a Muslim in their head, right? Like if I can just get more people to be more open-minded when they think of a Muslim, then that's really all I want. Like I'm not gonna really here to tell you stories about, me facing discrimination every day, but yeah, I guess what bothers me most about all this negative experiences and just like stories that media has around us is that it's not really solving the real problems here. Like I had one time a drunk girl come to me at the Villa and ask me if I can tell ISIS to stop, and I was just like, okay, like it's bad enough already that I'm like super sober for this, and you come here now and just ruin my night. Like I'll just give them a real quick text and tell them to stop Habibi. Like like it just makes no sense when people come up to you and ask you these questions as if you're somehow related to them, but just because you're both Muslims, right? Yeah, and I guess like at the end of it, like what 3 years ago, like it still is. Like I just really believe that Islam is a very peaceful religion, and when people used to argue with me otherwise, I would debate with them. I would keep debating with them until I prove them wrong, or until they're apologetic about their blanket statement. But honestly, now I'm very much like always careful to not mention to people that I'm Muslim. Like I try my best to avoid that topic just because there's again so much like hate-filled rhetoric around us that like I try to avoid the politics part of it, right? Like, I'm afraid for my life. Like, I'm afraid for my brother's life who lives in Halifax. What if a terrorist attack like happens there and then they go after my brother because you know what? All Muslims are terrorists, right? Me and him talked about that for the longest time.
All right, Yuman, how would you describe your role as a Canadian citizen?
Religion has always been a very heavy and serious topic, so I try to always avoid sharing my Muslim experience to my Canadian friends. But like obviously, when I get asked about it, like I try my best to make it more relatable to those outside of the Muslim faith. But yeah, like other than that, I'm actually very, very low key when it comes to showing my religion or talking about my religion in Canada. But of course, like when I go home, I put up this like artificial religious front to my family and relatives because like I'd be killed otherwise. But yeah, I just like somehow learned to just like cope with it and like kind of like not really integrate it or show any implications that I'm Muslim with my interactions here in Canada. And I guess I try to live every day like, you know, I try to live every day with people, like, I try to, like, wait, what was I gonna say? Okay, yeah, no, that's what I'm gonna say next. Okay, you can crop that. But yeah, I try to prove to people every day that, yeah, sure, I'm a Muslim person, but in the end, I'm just very normal. I'm just like you.
Yuman, do you feel a certain sense of pride as a Canadian citizen, especially as a Muslim Canadian citizen?
Absolutely. My religion has so much cultural value. Islam is a religion of love, kindness, and peace, and I try my best every day to integrate those three things in my life and in my actions with people. And yeah, sure, I can try and slap like a Disney quote on how I want to make a difference in this world, but like I'd rather not. And yeah, like at the end of the day, sure, I don't wear this hijab anymore, and I don't wear my niqab anymore, but I know I'm a good person. Like I go to parties and like just like you guys and have a few casuals just like everyone. So yeah, like at the end of the day, really all what I try and address here or send out a message is that Muslims are just like you.